Welcome to Urban Knife Guy, where we explore the urban knife style and jungle survival. In this video, we're going to have a look at my parang survival kit. A parang is a large broad knife that originates from Malaysia. It's similar to the machete in the West. In my opinion, it can be considered an all-purpose survival knife, and I do use this when I go hiking and bushcrafting if I do not bring my smaller fixed blade. This particular parang is made by Parang Tantari out of Johor, a state in southern peninsular Malaysia. Now, I won't be talking much about this parang in this video, as I'll be doing a full review on it very shortly. For now, we're going to concentrate and look at the survival system built on the Kydex sheath. So let's get started. A Kydex sheath is made from thermoplastic and is molded around your knife, or in this case the parang. The Parang Tantari comes with a plain Kydex sheath. It doesn't come with all these attachments that you see. That's something that I've added on. But it does come with a plain Kydex sheath, and there are standard rivet holes on the ends of the Kydex sheath, and they're spaced 1.5 inches apart, and I believe that's kind of a universal standard. There's also the 3/4 inch holes that are apart from each other, and that's mainly for attachments for tech locks like belt clips. And if you want, I guess, if you are making a custom Kydex sheath, you can ask the maker to make any number of holes you want, but generally they're always standardized apart, either 3/4 of an inch or 1.5 inches apart. So for this particular Tantari parang, this is an 8-inch blade, so there are 6 holes that are spaced equally 1.5 inches apart. And this allowed me to add all these different attachments to create this survival kit. Some of these attachments are commercially available, some of them I put together myself and added them in. And basically it's a big mix and match to come up with a very compact and still lightweight system. So that means if I ever get separated from my pack for whatever reason, or even my belt, which I carry when I'm hiking or bushcrafting, this has, I think, enough gear to get me out of quite a few bad situations. Let's start off with the sheath at the top over here. You notice there's a secondary blade, and this is a Mora Knife Companion stainless steel. It's got a pointed top, Scandi grind. It is thinner than the parang and basically can do everything the parang can't in terms of finer work and something with a point, because I use a Duko Chandong, which has a sheep's foot style blade, doesn't have a point. So that's where this companion knife comes in as a secondary blade. Now, this particular sheath is an aftermarket item that you can get in Malaysia. I'll put a link in the description below. If you want to order it and you have overseas, you can see if they do overseas shipping. But you can buy this particular sheath, which is designed to fit on the parang sheath over here. You can also get it with these attachments. There's a lighter attachment as well as a ferro rod attachment over here. Let's talk about the lighter attachment. So it puts a regular strike wheel flint style lighter. This is a Cricket brand, which is very popular and common in Malaysia. You could also put a big, but you might need to put extra duct tape around it so there's a nice tight fit. I did put some gaffer's tape around the end over here, about 1 inch wide, and this gives me, well, gaffer's tape if I ever need it. It's a great fire extender, and if I need to, repair something or even cover a wound in an emergency, I've got that going. So that fits in like that. Now, the other attachment that's commercially available is this one. It's meant for a ferro rod, which they also supply, but I didn't use their ferro rod. And I, in fact, used it to keep tinder. So this is basically a straw, and inside there's cotton that's infused with petroleum jelly. And I've sealed it on both sides and also cut it just so that's not so sharp. Also additional duct tape, so I've got more, or gaffer's tape in this case, and that also provides a snug fit on the holder. Now, the reason I have this is because in a jungle environment, everything is always wet and damp, even when it's not raining. That's due to the high humidity and just the nature of the forage around. So everything is generally very damp, and it's hard to get dry tinder or kindling. Now, you can, of course, by processing the wood, splitting wood that might seem dry, checking out the inside, and then creating shavings or feather sticks to get that tinder and kindling. But processing wood takes time, takes effort and energy, so I always want to make sure that I have tinder with me at all times, so I know that I'm safe. And that's why you always see me having straws filled with cotton, with petroleum jelly in all my survival kits and tins. Now, one thing I like to mention about this particular sheath, it's got a really good design in the sense you can see there's actually a ramp underneath, which is kind of a slope. And there's a good reason for that. And that is when you put the knife in, there's clearance from this part of the sheath and the parang handle itself. If there wasn't that ramp, then there's probably no way to even put this knife in. You'd have to put it really low down, or you won't be able to put it in or even take it out. So I thought that's a nicely thought out design element. I do have a ferro rod over here. This is a separate commercially available part. It's an aftermarket part from another maker, and it's a ferro rod but built into this Kydex sort of system. Now this is my backup ferro rod. I still carry my primary ferro rod, and I do have a fire kit. But once again, this is meant to be kind of a survival kit. So in the case of emergency, if I do get separated, I know I have the ability to start fire. I've got that lighter, and I've got this ferro rod over here. I've got a survival whistle, and this is a Gunzo survival whistle. It's looped around this part of the sheath. I believe it's the main sheath. No, it's the lighter compartment, as you can see. So it's really locked in there. And then I've got Ranger bands to hold it tight, so it's not going anywhere. Even if it manages to escape the Ranger bands, which is almost impossible, it will not drop because it's looped. I think a survival whistle is very important for any part of a survival kit, so I always want to include it in it. And on the back, you can see I've got a lanyard. This is a Cobra tie style lanyard bracelet. That it's not a bracelet, it's just kind of a lanyard. And what I've done is I've looped it around this belt loop. So it's not tied to the belt loop, as you can see. It's just looped around this loop, and it's tucked into the Ranger bands here. And if I need it, all I need to do is pull it out and then take it off the loop like that. And now I've got access to the cord. So this is not regular paracord. This is fire cord, it's a survival cord, and it's a brand called PS Cook. And what's so special about this particular cord is that there are 10 strands inside. So normal paracord has 7 strands. This has 10 strands. The 3 extra strands are this fire tinder strand, which allows you to start a fire. Well, not as a tinder, but as a more of like a kindling, a fire extender, so that you can put wood on and get the fire going. And we have a fishing line, which is yellow, and we've got this cotton thread here for repairs and just general cordage. So that's very useful having this here. And I've got about 80 inches worth of this cord, and tied onto it where this can't go anywhere. That's basically just a compass with a watch strap style attachment. So this is I think great use with the overall survival kit. And finally, I have a molly attachment clip over here. So this is basically to attach the parang to my pack. Sometimes when I'm going for a long hike, I do not want to put this on my belt, or I do not want to cross sling it, which is how I normally carry the parang. So I'll put this on my pack, which has a lot of molly attachments. This slips on and locks into place. I've also got a loop over here of paracord, and that's because I have a carabiner on my pack, and that locks it at the bottom so it doesn't flap around. So that's kind of my system of how I can carry the parang. Now you notice there's a belt loop. I do not generally carry the parang on my belt, and there's a reason for that. Because when the parang goes in, it is a pretty long knife. When you try to pull it open, you know, it's sometimes hard to bend your hand and draw it out all the way because it's so long. I personally prefer to cross sling it. So when I cross sling it on my body, this almost acts as a dangler. And what I have is a tactical sling over here with a carabiner. So this basically goes on like that. And it's almost like a dangler because I can put it almost any direction. And the tactical sling itself is a great one because it's really well padded for most of the sling. And the padded part does not move because just the way it's designed and attached to the sling. It's also got a very simple clip to extend the length or decrease the length if you need, as you need, very quickly without going through the usual buckle system. So this is kind of the way I carry the parang. I cross sling it over, and this goes to my side. It's easy for me to get at, easy for me to deploy. All I need to do is kind of turn it, grab it, and I can pull it out and then get the sheath out of the way. and then do my work, and if I need it, just bring it back and put it back in. So a very kind of a tidy, efficient package. I hope you enjoyed this look at my parang survival kit. When I designed this, I wanted it to be as compact as possible, as lightweight as I could practically have it, but still be full of survival gear as I would need if I'm separated from my pack or my belt. I didn't want to have a big pouch, kind of attached to the sheath. That becomes too bulky and heavy. I wanted something as slim as possible. You can see the profile of this, still very slim. The main bulk is really from the secondary knife, which is here. The rest really, blends in quite closely with the sheath. But let me know what you think about this particular parang survival kit. Do you have any ideas or suggestions that I can add to it, or maybe take out something and replace it with something else? Do let me know your thoughts in the comments below. If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you liked the content in general, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.